Today, welcome to Breakout readers to our brand new emerging artist believers. They're not brand new to themselves. They've been hustling and working, put out some great music, but I bet to a lot of our readers, they're going to be new. And that's exactly why we love having you guys. Jordan and Owen, welcome to our interview and welcome to our readers at Breakout. It's really a pleasure to have you joining us today.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
for having us.
much.
Okay, so this is a first for us. Uh, the magazine Breakout in our station, Worship Road Radio, is both Canada and the United States. And now we finally have an artist that is the same. So, Jordan, you're in Nashville, right?
Mhm.
And Owen, you're in Kelowna, BC.
Hmm.
If our readers do not know anything about Kelowna, you got to go. It's one of the best places in North America. It's awesome. So, welcome. Hey, so the group is called Believers, but you have a cool way to represent it. Tell us about Believers historically and then how you came up with the name.
Yeah, so pretty much Owen and I had, before starting Believers, and still have our own personal projects. Owen, Nitro X, me, Jay Steph. And so we ended up meeting through some mutual friends on a uh, project that was like pop music made by Christians. We were like, let's just do it.
Cool.
And I met Owen through that, pretty much. And then we decided to do a few songs together. And the second one started gaining a lot of traction. And so I was like, hey, Owen, let's do like one more together. And then that one, just from the jump, started doing really well. It's called Won't Let Go. And we saw that, and I was just like, "Hey, Owen, what would you think if we did something more with this? It seems like we've hit this niche thing um, that people are wanting. Like a lot of youth group playlists, we're adding our songs, and it's like, hey, what if
Hmm.
we just make some really good worship-esque music that is more, fun and it's very God-centered, but it's also very like youth centered and something that is more energetic than what you would hear on the radio. So, um, and yeah, do you want to talk about the name, Owen? How that came around?
Yeah, we were trying to figure out a name. I remember we had this little doc and we were like just like slowly filling it out, trying to figure out ideas. Um, I think you came up with Believers, Jordan. I'm pretty sure that was
Probably.
that was your idea. Jordan has always been the best at the brand and the content and all of that, and I'm the best at the back end with the production and the emails and the files and finances and everything. So yeah, we were kind of just brainstorming, and then we really like the kind of 2015 like era of like music, of like pop music, where I don't know if any of your readers would know, like Capital Kings were a
Sure.
goatee signed project, and they're our biggest influence for our stuff. And a lot of like even mainstream artists back in that time were really kind of using a lot of like unique electronic sounds. Like you think of Zed, and some of these guys, like were making pop, but with this influence. And back then, I mean, a lot of the names didn't have vowels and stuff too, in all these projects when these started. So I don't know. We were just like, this one looks kind of cool. So pull the vowels out. Feel like it fit our vibe of like trendy, new, modern stuff. And I think we really loved the name, just because like the idea for Believers is that you would feel a part of like the community. You would feel a part of the music. That this is for believers, but also for non-believers to hear the message of Jesus. But kind of like focusing in on like the walk of the Christian and like dealing with real issues that we all face on a day to day, and not being afraid, to talk about doubt and fear and struggle. And I think that, that kind of positioning, it was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense for our name, that's what we're going to sing about. And we want this to feel like a community, like you can be a part. And so we're still trying to figure out, and we even talked recently, like, how do we do that? How do we continue to make you feel like you are a part of the community of believers,
Mhm.
believers in Christ, because we already are the church. Like, how now do we be the church in that way all together? Whether that's through shows or through, I don't know. We're thinking about different ideas, but yeah, that's just kind of the meaning behind the name and how we came up with it.
I love it. So, you guys, I mean, from the outside looking in, it looks like you're a combination of pop, worship, uh, traditional CCM. How would you describe your vibe, your music? What kind of a hybrid are you? How do you describe it?
I would say what I tell people is obviously Jesus is the center of what we do. So there is that worshipful element. But pretty much you just take pop as the center as well. So pop and Jesus, and then we just do any sort of way we've experimented. We've worked on stuff that's like, you know, alternative pop, which a lot of that isn't out yet. That's stuff that we're still working on. We've done EDM pop or like electronic pop, dance pop. We've done more like CCM pop, So literally, pop is what I would call the core. And then we just love going different ways with it, like letting that be the central part where we're never going to go like full folk or full anything like that. But we might do like a more pop version of folk, something like that. Um, yeah, so I'd say our base is probably right there.
Mhm.
To experiment a lot.
Yeah, I think we have kind of that lane of um, I love how it's like we'll do anything, but there's just a way we will implement it that I think feels very us. Between my production style and Jordan's writing style, I think we always end up with this like pop spin, electronic elements in there while still doing like all these other genres. And I think it's kind of been nice because we can kind of open that door creatively to do a lot of different things.
Definitely. I don't know if you've heard of a group called Vibes or Rave Jesus, but you guys are in that kind of new genre to me. And I remember when Forrest Frank came out, it was like, oh my gosh, this is too weird. Who's going to play this? K-Love said, oh, we'll never play this. And well, I guess they were wrong about that. So Forrest played in front of 70,000 last weekend at the Houston Rodeo.
Wow.
Um, and I love the creativity. And I think that's part of the problem of traditional Christian radio is it's so hard for creativity to break through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I've loved coming across you guys. Um, so talk to us. I believe your debut album was 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you did some worship covers called worship pop.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you actually owning that word as a new genre, worship pop? Or, I mean, do you keep saying that, or was that just the title of the album?
I'd love to say that I came up with it. I don't know if anyone else.
Bro, we got to copyright that thing. We got to copyright that
We
thing. That's
really
our
want.
thing.
When we hang up, go copyright it.
Yeah, we got to go copyright that ASAP. Yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah, that is kind of our thing. Like, that's kind of the brand idea. You can even hear from the like first projects to like worship pop to like now, how we kind of have evolved, I guess, in our sound. But um, that worship pop project, I think, you were using that word to kind of brand the worship covers. But I think more than the worship covers, it is kind of our thing and our sound. Um, yeah. So hopefully there'll be some more worship cover vibes in the future. Um, I mean, people were really loving them. So
Yeah, you did a cover of Gratitude, which seems a lot of people are doing that. Grace Graber just did a punk version of Gratitude, which is awesome. But I love yours. I mean, gosh, It fits right in with anybody else's, if you ask me. Great, great sound. And we're playing it on Worship Road Radio in case you didn't know that.
Oh yeah, love
So
it.
when you just in the pragmatic fashion of creating this music, um, how do you balance worship and pop? Is that a challenge? Does it come natural to you guys? Um, give us some insight of that whole process.
Yeah, I think a big part of everything is what we, Owen and I listen to a lot of stuff. We are very much like, how can we, like, what new sounds can we bring into this or something along that line. So I think we're very creatively informed based off of other music, but when listening to the songs, you do want to give it a vibe that is going to work for it. Like I think I still believe what the way that we found that sound, it's very much still got some of those elements that I feel Jeremy, like the original song, is just it has.
Yeah.
But we found a way to enhance that and make it more pop. And we would use reference songs, like things that we both, I forget what our reference song was for that one, but we literally will just throw out an artist name, like, hey, what if we make this one more like Millennium vibes? It's a bit more just cinematic and just that feels like the right fit for that song. So we go back and forth with, you know, counting my blessings. It took a second to figure that one out. I think that was probably the most difficult one to do, mainly for me, just with some of the singing like flow and all of that. It was just I kept messing up on it. And Owen's like, nope, again. And I'm like, ah. But we did, yeah, I think every time that we will pick a song, we had a few that we dropped actually that we were thinking about because we just didn't have enough of the vibe for them. And then it just kind of falls into place after that. I don't know if you have anything to add with that process, Owen, but that's at least how it is for me.
Yeah. Hmm. I think that like on the top, I think it's that classic topic of like worship. What is worship music? Um, I think that often people over criticize like the simplicity of modern worship music. And I mean, I love it. I love like washy worship music and the screaming guitars. It's like I love it. I think it's awesome. And I think the simplicity of the chords and the down moments and the builds is amazing. I think it helps us focus in worship really well, in church and even in my own time. I love listening to it. But that's not all that worship is, right? Like worship is that, and I think that way is to help us focus really well. I'm not going to listen to, counting my blessings that we have and be like really like focused prayerfully. But I feel like, I mean, like behind the scenes, even for me, from our first EP, is still one of like my favorite songs. Um, not even like just because we made it, like just like is one of my favorites. Just because I can go back and listen to that song and just like I really can worship in that song. But it's a different if it's a different way, and I think there can be worshipful moments through a cool EDM drop, and it just looks a little bit different. And I think to assume everybody has to worship all the time in the exact same way is not fair to how we're created. I don't think it is how God intends it. I think God intends for us to express our art in the ways that He has created us. And I know there's other people who enjoy that same way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, not to get nerdy about worship theology, but I mean that's just I think kind of where I come from when I'm thinking about our tracks.
Yeah, I love that. Um, and I agree with you. So have you guys ventured into any straight EDM?
I mean, in the past, we definitely have done stuff together. I think on our projects. I mean, we have one on that EP that's very like drum and bass, like straight EDM, but it's definitely still has a pop element. We've got one in the works.
Yeah.
We got one in the works that is we're playing a show this summer, and we're gonna pull it out there, and
Oh,
it's gonna get people jumping. Let's just say that we
that
wrote
has
it in
my
Nashville recently ish, in the winter there. It's pretty fun.
that has my attention. What would you say to someone that says, "Oh, EDM and worship are inconsistent. They can't live in the same place," and to suggest otherwise is blasphemy? What would you say to that person?
I would say we get a comment every once in a while on our videos, our worship pop videos, that's like um, something along those lines. And I think it is important to realize I'm gonna let what Owen said kind of circle back here, where we are all, there is how the Lord made us all creatively I don't know, we have different ways to worship, but there is that one way to worship. We are worshiping the Lord.
Hmm.
Um, but we all do it a bit differently, and all of us have different interests. So there is that element. But I will say, you know, I don't expect our music to get played in church and that be like, this isn't a Sunday morning type of thing that we're doing. I think there's an important divide there. Like we are bringing that's kind of the point. As I put it, worship for your weekday.
Yeah,
Hmm.
This
worship doesn't
isn't
just
something
happen.
that's necessarily going to be like you're not going to have the EDM drop in church.
Yeah,
Also, there's so much there that I don't know, all the elements and stuff. You're not even really singing some of that. Um, so I think it's a really cool thing. As it is our goal, like Owen said, to bring in unbelievers as well. So it's not just for believers through the week, but it's also how can we find ways to um, bring worship to people who wouldn't normally listen to it and
Hmm.
maybe hopefully get them more interested in whether it's listening to the original songs or if it's going to church or if it's even just diving in deeper, like what are they actually talking about? We have had people reach out, literally someone from our remix contest for Another Way, bit different, because that's an original song of ours, but um, they're like, hey, this song, I really needed it right now, and I'm so glad you did a remix contest for it because I've been away from God, and I feel like this song is something that's helping me uh, just remind me that
Hmm.
God's still there. And like, even if it's something as small as that, like, we want to make sure that worship isn't just something that is seen as like, oh, it's not evangelical. It can't go out and reach other people. It is worship to God, but there's also ways like what we're doing is very evangelical. We want the gospel to not just stay with the Christian, but also be able to go out. And I think that's important in music as well. So that's why we call it worship for the weekday. And also, if people decide to play this at an EDM show, like a rave or something, like Rave Jesus is doing, or whatever, if it gets picked up somewhere randomly, that's more people who might not listen
absolutely.
to Christian music who are suddenly like, oh, this song is Christian. Why is this being played here? It's a cool opportunity, and I think we want to just steward that well. And so that would be my short answer to that. Yeah.
Well, very good. I was on the uh, first national Lecrae tour, and we heard the same kind of things. So that would never, how could this be? Um, I was on a Mercy Me tour when we arrived in Mobile, Alabama. There were demonstrators saying rock and roll music is hell, and come on, this, like you said, there's a friend of mine that has a ministry called 10,000 Minutes because the week has 10,080 minutes. 80 minutes we're in church. We're talking about there's worship music for the 10,000 minutes, right? I love what
Yeah.
you say, worship for the weekday. So, what's around the corner for you guys? What can we see moving forward? New music or any way to watch you live?
Yeah, we're doing a show. July, was it July 25th?
Yes. Yep.
In Colorado. I think it's like right by Denver, Colorado. Yes.
Mhm.
Um, at Christian EDM festival. So that'll be fun.
And we've got some good friends who are going to be playing
Yeah.
with us, some people we've collabed with, but also just some like good friends. So
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So that'd be really cool. That's kind of our first show together. Um, and then hopefully in April here there'll be some sort of campfire if you're in Kelowna. Keep an eye on our Instagram, some sort of backyard show or proper show. We'll see. We're still sorting out the details for that. But other than that, this year for us, really just trying to capitalize on our last project, More Like You. And I'm not sure when this magazine will be out, but you'll definitely at least see the first remix from More Like You coming out with our friend Sam Bowman. And
Nice.
we've got a bunch of remixes coming out there from some friends. And then we're going to be kind of moving into just a season of doing some singles. So just kind of bunch of different creative ideas that we've been working on just to kind of see where we're going to go for our next EP or album. Just test the waters with some different vibes, see what resonates with people. And yeah, I would say that's about it for us at the moment. And then, like we talked about at the start, community, figuring out how we're going to build some community online and in person.
I love that, and I can't wait for you to do some more Canadian shows as well.
Mhm.
And I hope you let me know about this April show when Jordan comes up to Kelowna. Last question for each of you: if we were to look at your playlist, what you're listening to, what would we find?
Ooh, tough. There's so much that I listen to. Um, well, I was telling this to someone the other day. I think I do love how much Christian music there is that I listen to now because it's before, I went through the stage where I was like, oh, there is just like no good Christian music. It's all the radio stuff. And and I can't honestly say that. So like there's artists, I don't know if you've heard of J Manuel, of Sofika, of some of those people, Grace Graber. Grace, funny enough, used to be her and her husband used to be my roommate before I got married. Uh,
Seriously.
oh yeah, so we're good friends. They're literally across the way from me right here. We're neighbors now. Like all those people, I love listening to their music, and so that's definitely a huge part. I also love, like I said, I like pop music, but I don't like general pop. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
really listen. I'm not a Taylor Swift person. I'm not anyone like that. I love people who know how to express themselves very well through their music. I love anything like ear candy vibes. Like Owen can attest to that, where I'll throw him the most random things that no one has ever heard of. And he's like, "Oh," and it's just because I love how creative these smaller artists can be. So that's a lot more of what my stuff would be is either some of these Christian artists like ourselves or yeah, just smaller artists out there who are doing a great job in being creative. So it really helps
Awesome.
with my creativity when looking at our music and what we want to do.
Awesome.
But
Owen?
yeah.
Yeah, for me, a lot of my main genre last year on rap was worship. I listened to a lot of um, like Bethel, not a lot of Elevation, like heavy like Christian worship stuff, like Canyon's doing. I love that style so much. I listen to a lot of Homecoming stuff, and then I'm all over the place. I listen to quite a bit of Christian rap, like mostly within the Christian space. I listen to a lot of Christian rap. Guys like Indie Tribe and Red Tips. I love Christian rap. I think sometimes for me, I like listening to stuff that's very different from what I make, so I don't kind of get bored.
Smart.
Um, not that I'm bored with what I make, but I just love sometimes if you're doing the same thing, it's nice to listen to something like super different on your off time. And so yeah, those two are kind of the listening on my off time. I think lately I've been super into there's I don't even know how to describe the new genre. It's just kind of like general like bass music, like bass EDM. It's all over the place. Some of it's like house, some of it's like dubstep, some of it's like I don't know, like hip hop crossover, like Fred again stuff. And there's this playlist on Spotify that I've been listening to a lot of, like an editorial, and It's just very like creative and new combinations of lots of EDM genres. Guys like Daniel Allen, like modern techno stuff. Yeah, so I listen to a lot of EDM stuff. Tickles my ears in a way that I love. I just feel like it's so like unique. Like I don't know, it just has a lot of that ear candy that Jordan was talking about. And so Jordan and I had very similar styles in a lot of ways to that kind of stuff. That we both love like very like particular like detailed productions. And so it helps us, I think, hone in our sound really well together. But yeah, Jordan put me onto Sunday. I've been listening to a little bit of Sunday now because
Hmm.
he's
Oh,
really good within the Christian space. And then Lindy and Geo, those
Gee.
guys are great too.
Wow, you guys really personify the creativity that the industry is now starting to see and embrace that for too long, I would say, has been oppressed and kept
Mm.
in a bottle. So, uh, suffice it to say, Believers is someone that you've got to listen to if you're a reader at Breakout. And we're only adding more to our playlist at Worship Road Radio. So thank you guys so much. I can't wait to see you live. Really appreciate you being on our interview here today, and be praying for things to come.
absolutely. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much, Scott.
Absolutely. See you soon.
All right. Peace.